I'm the supervisor for Family and Community Engagement. Tonight's presentation is an introduction to the Virginia Literacy Act and what it means for families. This presentation will be offered in English and will be recorded. We are going to ask you to please keep your device on mute. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A section using the button at the bottom of your toolbar. We will have time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. This time, I would like to welcome our presenter for the evening, Ms. Marissa Miranda. She is a supervisor of elementary English language arts and literacy with Prince William County Public Schools in the Student and Learning Department. Welcome, Marissa.
Thank you so much. Let me make sure that you can see. Just need to make sure. You good? Can we see our presentation?
I can see your presentation, yes.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Marissa Miranda. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I'm going to provide you some information regarding the Virginia Literacy Act and how you play a part in this very important initiative as family members. So we're going to go ahead and get started with what is the Virginia Literacy Act. So our purpose tonight is really to give you some information about probably some buzzwords that you've been hearing, but overall, what is this act? What does it stand for? What does it mean? And what is Prince William County doing in response to that? So as you can see here, the Virginia Literacy Act is a law aimed at improving reading skills for students K through 8. So initially when this law was passed, we were really focusing on K3, but it has been extended to K8. My counterpart is here, but you can't see her. She's hidden in the webinar. There is Carla Drew is here as well. She's the supervisor for secondary language arts, and she is also in charge of pushing forth this initiative with grades 6 through 8 as well. So again, a law aimed at improving reading skills for students K through 8. It does require schools to screen all K3 students for reading difficulties. This would be what you formerly may have known if you were in the state of Virginia prior as the PALS assessment. That is now the VALLSS assessment, VALLSS, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Your children are probably already started with this assessment if you haven't already heard about that. Grades 1 through 3 started right after Labor Day, depending on the school. So this test is already in the works. We'll talk a little bit about why that test may have changed, but just as an overview, the test has changed because it's more in line with the research from the previous years that we had it. This Virginia Literacy Act also mandates evidence-based reading instruction and intervention. It provides additional support for struggling readers, and we're really looking at early identification and supporting students for any reading challenges they may have.
Marissa, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you able to put the presentation in presentation mode?
It's not?
No, it's just the regular.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
Can everybody see that? Okay, let me just make sure. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. All right. So as I said before, this is a K8 initiative, and I want to go over what this looks like in those grade bands specifically. So for K3 and 4-5, a lot of this will look very similar, but let me go through. So for K3, we're looking at an evidence-based curriculum, evidence-based instruction, a new literacy screener, and ongoing teacher training. For 4-5, again, you're looking at evidence-based curriculum, evidence-based instruction. The new literacy screener is not there yet for 4-5 or 6-8, as you'll hear in a minute, but that is coming, and we expect that in 2025. There is also ongoing teacher training. All of the teachers are being trained in K8. So for 6-8, and I really kind of touched on that already, we're looking at that evidence-based curriculum, evidence-based instruction, that new literacy screener coming, and ongoing teacher training. All right, so just overall, what is the science of reading? So many different things have been said, as we like to do in education. We have evidence-based literacy instruction, science of reading. So overall, I just want to kind of speak to what all of that means as you see this. Why the change? Why the law? What is all of this? So science of reading actually is the collection of evidence of research over a number of years. So we're looking at a research-based approach to understanding how children learn to read and what teaching methods work best. So not brand new research. Again, this has been collected. A lot of the science that you'll see is more than 20 years old. So we're looking at aligning our instructional practices to what we know that the research has told us of how students learn best. So there's 5 key areas in which we'll be speaking about. The first one is phonemic awareness. You're recognizing speech sounds. If you really think about it, what you hear first, so that phone, recognizing those speech sounds individually. We're going to talk about phonics, connecting sounds to letters. So phonics is probably something that you've heard over and over, right? We teach phonics and then we teach comprehension. So we'll get into that a little bit deeper, but there's other levels here that I want to make sure that I honor. Fluency, how fast or slow you're reading, how smoothly are you speaking with inflection? Are you having any emphasis in punctuation? So this is, when you hear possibly your child read and you say, you sound like a robot, that's disfluent reading, and then what fluent reading might be. For vocabulary, that would be our 4th pillar here. So vocabulary is really understanding the word meanings. I'm going to give you an activity in a little bit so you can see how we tie that into not just learning how to decode a word in phonics, but also understanding what those words means. And actually at the end, what is our end result? We want students to make sense of what's read. So we're looking at that comprehension strand. But I want to make sure that we understand this is throughout the grade levels. This is not just, hey, in K2, you're just learning this, and then we move into comprehension. This is all embedded into making skilled readers. All right, so what do we know? What does the research say? So for a lot of years, we were saying, you know what, we're just going to engross you and you're going to be able to just absorb and learn how to read. But that's not so. We're not born wired to read. We have to be taught to read. We need those skills, and we need a skilled practitioner in order to do that. Students have to be taught to crack the code to decode it efficiently. So for people who learn, many of us have learned a different language. We've maybe learned English. There is a method to it. There is science to decoding. We need to learn all of those sounds and how to put those words or put those sounds together in order to decode a word. All students benefit from systematic and explicit instruction. This is really how we're going to look at a scope and sequence. So you may see your child in kindergarten start with some very basic sounds and build on with those sounds in a very systematic way. We're not just going to do this in the order of the alphabet. There is a research base behind the systematic way that it's taught. And there's also some levels to the explicit instruction so that it gets cemented and students are able to hang on to those phonics skills. Reading comprehension is complex and involves multiple skills. All of us know that. We all comprehend in different ways, and we need to understand how to do that. And our teachers need to guide us with that. And then finally, literacy skills develop over time with explicit instruction and multiple opportunities for practice. It is not a one and done skill. This is something that everybody needs to practice, and it is throughout the years. This is not just a K-8. This is literacy skills are developing K-12 and beyond. All right, so I'm going to let you look at this sentence here a little bit. So I'm going to let you read it to yourselves. I'll read it in just a second. You don't have to read it out loud. No one will know. It's a webinar. So again, our sentence here is slowly. Hello?
Did you lose?
You're back up.
Okay. So the sentence here is slowly the yak chews its cud. And as you can see from that statement below, many of you who have second grade parent or on here who are second grade parents or possibly first grade parents, you're like, yes, my child might be able to read that. But would they understand the words that are there? Would they understand why the comma is after slowly, the period there? Would they understand all the elements of this? Would they be able to take it to the sentence level and understand what that says? They might word call and be able to decode everything, but do they really understand it? So what we know is that there's multiple things going on in our brains when we look at a sentence like this. So first of all, we don't even know who this sentence is about, because if we don't understand what a yak is, we're not really sure that that is the central idea. That's the subject here, and that's a creature of Central Asia. Even if they knew, hey, I know it's an animal, that's even better. But knowing even that deeper, that this would be in Central Asia in a mountainous area. We would need to know what chews its cud mean. So that's a statement there that a child might not know, and they might not be able to put that together. They might know chew, but what is cud? What are we looking at? They're not going to know that word. So they need to know more in-depth knowledge. They need to be exposed to something to understand what that statement means. And they might have the association, oh, you mean like a cow, and those types of things. So that might be part of their instruction that they would know. And then finally, understanding the adverbs in the sentence structure. Slowly, why is that in the beginning of the sentence? How does that set the tone for that sentence, and what the yak is doing and how they're doing it? So really breaking apart all of the pieces of this is what we're talking about when we're developing skilled readers. So there's many different levels at just a simple sentence level. So I wanted to give you this example because I think this is one where you'd say, yes, my child can read all of that, but do they really understand what they're reading? So ultimately, you want to know what this looks like in the classroom. Some of you on the call may have been to back to school night. Some of you will see some information and hear some information coming soon when you go to back to school night for your elementary students. So you may see some of these things, but I just wanted to go just a little bit deeper so you have some background knowledge. So in the classrooms, we're going to be taking into consideration all of these things. So we're looking at decoding plus building meaning. We're teaching those foundational skills and adding in that language comprehension. We also want to honor the fact that in the state, our new standards have started. These standards are for K-12. And in those, we're looking at higher level text complexity, knowledge building, and using that text evidence. So again, decoding plus meaning. When we think about text complexity, we're looking at using high quality instructional materials, another acronym that you may hear, HQIM. So books and articles that are just right for their grade level, not too high. It's almost the Goldilocks rule, not too high. We're not making anything lower. We're looking at high quality, rich text to be able to explain a sentence like you saw on the last slide. We want to be able to build up that background knowledge, giving that high quality instructional materials. Again, that knowledge building. We're expanding students' vocabulary. Many of you may hear your students or your children come home and they might talk about a book that they were reading or something that they were exposed to, a topic that they're doing. As we get into our HQIM, and I'll speak to that in just a minute, they're going to have overarching modules. They might have questions that they're asking throughout. What is a character? What makes a good character? And that may be 3 weeks of really rich text in which they're understanding what a character is in all sorts of fiction text. And they can really describe those things. They're being exposed to vocabulary words that not only talk about character traits, but maybe things like those adverbs, how this character is moving all the time. I was going to use a really general term, but Winnie the Pooh, he's pouncing around and bouncing around. They might understand those things. Winnie the Pooh is not the example. It was just the one that popped into my head. But that would be something where you would expand on vocabulary to associate to a character. That's just an example from 3rd grade if you're thinking. For text evidence, students are going to learn to focus on the most important details in the language that's read. They're going to use specific parts of the text to show that they understand it. They're going to defend this. For our parents on here who have students who are in grades 3 through 8, really, we have something called Article of the Week. In Article of the Week, they're using Newsella, which is a resource that students have been exposed to before, but now the division has purchased that for all students in 3 through 8. It's an approved curriculum for them, or approved resource for them to supplement for education. It's great articles that they can really hone in on. Are they looking at that text and answering questions and being very specific in using the text to defend those answers? Some of you may have heard last year, we started with the the integrated reading and writing. A lot of those questions in the integrative reading and writing SOL had those types of questions. You would read a passage. It might be about Abraham Lincoln, and the follow-up question might be, Abraham Lincoln is somebody who is a notable figure. Can you think of somebody else who is a notable figure in history? And they would have to respond using that text. So this is all happening in the classroom, and it's happening in a systematic way. So it's not just piecemeal, it is everybody. And we're all using, brings me to my next slide here, those HQIM that I spoke about. So that high quality instructional materials. I've given you some visuals here as well, because you may see these on things that your children bring home, or you may see these just online for other resources. We have these, and at the end of the presentation today, I will show you about the website where you can see where to find some of these resources or even to look into them. So again, high quality instructional material is part of the Virginia Literacy Act. All divisions had to apply to use I'm sorry. Let me start that over. All vendors who have these materials had to present them to the state. They were judged based on a very detailed rubric, and you can see that on the VDOE site. How these all stood up, what were they good for? All of them were looked at in great detail to the vocabulary piece. Did they have knowledge that built on each other? All different pieces, and they were rated. Our division was lucky enough, we already had HMH in the schools. So we were able to use that HQIM as we transitioned into this first year of the Virginia Literacy Act going into effect. So as part of the VLA, as I've stated here, the state of Virginia approved what we can use for core curriculum. You may have neighbors in Loudoun, Fauquier, Fairfax, they're using something different. They're all approved HQIM. So every division in Virginia is maybe using something different, but you can rest assured that they're all approved HQIM. Again, these are our HQIM. So you see the little happy smiley face there. That's our symbol for HMH. For K-5, we use HMH into reading. This should not be different. You've probably seen some of these resources, or at the end of June, you probably got a whole bunch of consumable My Books that came home, and those were from HMH. For middle school years, it's HMH into literature, and that's 6 through 8. I will note that approved resources for middle school are still in the process, but we already have these in place, and we're really hoping that those would absolutely be approved. So we're using those already, that the HMH resources for 6-8. Or if you move right to the right on my slide, you'll see the University of Florida Literacy Institute, otherwise known as UFLY. You may see that look a little bit different. Sometimes there's a bit of a rainbow. I was trying to find my manual that you can see the UFLY. That's our supplementary resource for our foundational skills, our phonics skills, if you will. UFLY is being used in grades K through 2. You may see things that come home that have the UFLY piece at the top, and it will have things that you can do at home. There's a ton of parent resources. I will note, UFLY's website is open. You can see all of the lessons. You can see the PowerPoint presentations. You can see things to work on at home. All of these things are there. Your school will provide those to you as well. We have those linked on our website, but that is an open resource. We have the manuals for the teachers to have a little bit more in-depth knowledge, but you can go on and see all of those things. Full transparency into the PowerPoint, Google Slides, however you want to look into those. They have games that you can use called Roll and Read. Some of you may have already seen those. I know at my previous school, we were already using UFLY. So those are things that parents might have already seen come home as games that the students were playing. If you look down to the bottom of the slide, you'll see some more other resources that we have. Newsella, as I spoke about, that's our supplementary resource for comprehension for grades 3 through 8. Again, you're going to see this with students who are using this with Article of the Week. And then Lexia. Lexia should not be new to many parents. This is used in summer school. This could be used in all-in tutoring, or should be used in all-in tutoring. Lexia Core 5 is what we use at the elementary. And then Lexia Power Up would be for our middle school years. Many of you are familiar with Lexia. This was something that was a staple during COVID. Many of you have used this at home. Now we're using not only the online piece, but also there are really detailed lessons. All of these things on this slide are approved by the state. Lexia by far is approved by the state for use in all of those things for intervention, supplementary, and it is one of the things that is used for all-in tutoring should your child have done that. But many of you may have seen some of these resources before, but these are now our approved resources. So we're very lucky and very fortunate that all of those are in our schools right now. Okay, so the other part of the Virginia Literacy Act that is just as important is that they have updated the screener. So VALLSS stands for the Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System. Again, this is what you would have known as PALS before. So they have updated the screener, which is welcome news. It gives much more detailed information, and I'm going to speak to that just a little bit. I do want to let you know that because we are in the process of testing, if you have questions at the end about some of these things, there may be things that I will know the answers to about VALLSS at this point, but because it is very new, there may be things that we would just need to follow up later. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. So what is VALLSS? VALLSS is a literacy screening tool used by schools in Virginia. We're assessing the early language and literacy skills. I have here for K3 because that is what I am going to speak to, but some of you may already have seen a report from this for pre-K. So some of our classrooms for pre-K are also using the VALLSS screener, so you can see those score reports as well. So the purpose of VALLSS is very similar to what PALS was, right? It's a screener. We're looking for how do we identify students who may be at risk of developing reading difficulties. We want to attack with early intervention. And if we can get that information and the most detailed aligned to research information, the better off that we can be. Early intervention is the key. This was always the case with PALS, but now having something that's in line more with what we know with the research is even better. Your teachers are all learning how to interpret these scores. They've taken extensive training over the summer on how to give the assessment, and they're already in that process now. So you may have your child come home and say, I had to do a test for so long. It's a little bit different. It's interactive. There's things now that they are using their iPad with, but we're really getting quality information. So that's a good thing. So again, this resource here that is, I'm going to go through just a few pages with you. We have this linked on the Prince William County website. It is translated in all of our languages. You'll find it in English there as well. I will walk you through where to find that. All of your schools also got this resources, principals, reading specialists, etc. You will see this resource more and more because now you will want the explanation for what is on the score reports. And this is a very detailed pamphlet, if you will, several pages of what all of these things mean. And they have tried their best to take out the education ease. What does it actually mean about my student? So I'm going to go into just a few of the things that you will see, the most important pages that are in this resource. And when I go onto the website, I will have an opportunity to show you off screen as well. So it will go into what VALLSS will tell you. What will the score report tell you? So your child is going to be put into one of 3 risk bands. For those of you who have already seen SOL reports, VGA reports, those types of things, you'll see usually those bands of risk in different wording at the end. The VALLSS report will look very similar to that. It will give you a band of risk, but it will also give you, and that's not listed here, kind of a range of numbers of what that looks like. So that you can see, all right, well, my child is moderate risk, but in that range in comparison, where are they, right? So, and I'm going to make up a number. If they're a 515 and the cutoff is 516, they're really close to that low risk. Are they really at this intensive? And it'll give you some more information on the score report. The letters that we will send home will also have detailed information about this, but I did want to take some time to go into probably one of the most valuable resources that we found from the state. So again, on the score report, you'll see that your child has been put into one of these risk areas. You have low, moderate, and high. So the high risk students are really where we're going to spend a bulk of our time talking once we get through this, because they are going to be students that we want to intervene with immediately and what that looks like in the school. So some things you'll see at the other parts of this report where they'll need further instruction. All of those details will be in the report, but it's also in this manual. It will walk you through what to do if your child is in any of these wristbands. So each page, full page, is dedicated to explaining to you what exactly is meant when your child scores in this wristband. So this is high wristband, and I want to spend a little time here. So if a child is in the high risk, they are at high risk for developing reading difficulties. That is what has come out on this assessment. So you can see in red there, your child is eligible for an additional 2.5 hours of literacy instruction per week. Very similar to students who did not meet the benchmark on PALS before and they had intervention in the school. That is what this is talking about. The difference is that now they have to use an approved intervention from the state in order to address those needs. So high risk will also require a student reading plan. In the student reading plan, your reading specialist, in collaboration with your school team and you, will develop a plan where they'll have goals based on all of those areas. So if your child came up as being high risk, and it wouldn't be this alone, but for fluency, they would have a fluency goal to work throughout the year. To get to a words per minute, that would be on grade level or out of that risk band. If they came up as needing alphabet knowledge, this might be something in kindergarten. That might be a goal that they're working on very short term. We need more practice with the alphabet knowledge, but they're using an approved intervention in order to address those concerns. If you move on, again, high risk, 2.5 hours with an approved intervention student reading plan. So keep high in your head. And then we have moderate risk. So targeted explicit instruction is needed. So they'll go through and explain to you what this means for moderate risk. So if your child is moderate risk, they're at moderate risk for developing that reading difficulty. That's what those bands are speaking to. You will get targeted explicit instruction in the areas of need. Tomorrow, we are meeting with all reading specialists and members from the state who will talk to all reading specialists about how to develop these plans and really hone in on what does that targeted look like. Look at these score reports and what does that look like. The amount of training that we're getting and developing for the schools has been great. And I want you to rest assured that we are really focused on what does it mean to target a skill to show that improvement. So you can see at the bottom, and I want to point out this last paragraph, that even though your child is not in a high risk band, supplemental instruction is highly recommended in the classroom by your classroom teacher. But this could look different in your building. A VALLSS tutor may also deliver some of that supplemental instruction. So those are our high and moderate. If your child is in the low risk band, they're going to continue with that systematic and explicit classroom instruction. That's not shutting off for anybody. All students will be in these bands of risk, but that instruction is for everyone. That is our tier 1. Everyone is getting that. So if they're in the low risk, again, they're showing that they're in a low risk for developing reading difficulties. Your child needs to continue to receive the systematic and explicit classroom instruction in both those language comprehension pieces and their decoding skills. So they will continue with that. They will be monitored. This is not, oh, they came out in low risk and no one ever talked to them again. That is not going to be the case. Like PALS, VALLSS is given systematically throughout the year. It is not given to everyone throughout the year, and there'll be more information about which children will be tested. I will tell you that kindergarten and first are tested at all 3 bands throughout the year. For 2nd grade and 3rd grade, all students are tested in the fall along with our K1, but middle of the year and end of the year might only be for students in certain risk areas like moderate and high. So I just want to make sure that you understand who is tested and monitored. But if your teacher is noticing something, they're still being monitored within the room. So this is one data point, but there's tons of data that's going on in the classroom in order to make those informed decisions. All right, so again, the assessment is happening. You haven't received these score reports yet. You will receive those. You will receive a detailed letter, as I explained, and this packet, and I'll show you where you can locate that to read a little bit more. But that information is all coming to you. You can read up on the packet now. You can download it tonight and look through that. But that information will be coming to you once that testing window is closed. Kindergarten has not started. I do want to make sure that all of our kinder parents, they have not started their assessments yet. That starts towards the end of the month. So this is what you can expect this year. So there's a lot of changes. I've given you a lot, but I want you to kind of put it in 3 buckets here for what you'll expect through the year. So at the division and school level, these are the things that the Virginia Literacy Act is asking us to do. So we have a division-wide literacy plan. In just a few minutes, I'll show you where that is on our website. We have evidence-based literacy curriculum. That is our HMH curriculum that is in there. And I've already shown you where you can find those, or I'll show you where to find those resources, but HMH is our core curriculum. We also have approved intervention and supplementary curriculum, which is Newsella and Lexia. And then we have that new screener already in place, VALLSS to replace PALS. This is at the division and school level, what we are guaranteed we have to do in order to have it be in compliance with the VLA. At the classroom level, a lot more. Evidence-based literacy instruction is continuing. We're using that high quality instructional materials, right? It's not just good enough to have in the building, but being trained and how to use it is what we really want, which leads us into that teacher professional development and new instructional practices. Those have been going on since the summer. We had teachers during the summer that came in, were given professional development on both HMH and UFly, HMH in grades K through 8. So we had middle school teachers as well learning all about this new resource, how to use it appropriately. The professional development is going on throughout the year. Your teachers are in state-approved modules that they continue throughout the year. Reading specialists have another level of that. They went through modules last year. If we have new reading specialists or middle school reading specialists, they're going through more modules of training this year. And then we have another level that we've offered in Prince William County, and that is letters training, which some of you may have heard before, but letters training is another extensive, wonderful resource for professional development for our reading specialists. And even some of our division leaders are taking that just to understand a little bit more the changes that are coming and how we can lead and give our teachers and our students the best literacy instruction that we can. Again, under classroom level, student reading plans as needed. Again, the only students who would need a student reading plan would be our high-risk students. And then obviously you'll get reports from VALLSS. You'll get that detailed information. You'll get the letters. You'll get all of the resources that the school has. So that's at the classroom level, division, and school. And then what do you get at the home level? Free online resources that support learning at home. There'll be links to these. I will show you where to find some now, but your schools will also have resources that they'll say to you, this is a great one. This is something, your school webpage, your teacher webpage, look for these at back to school night. And then obviously this is probably the most important, participation in the student reading plan meeting. So you may feel like, what can I add to this conversation? You absolutely can. There's a ton of questions that you ask a parent as you're having these meetings. Talk to me about, are they interested when you're talking about a new topic? What's something that really is getting them interested? What is their language like? Are you concerned about some of the ways that they're reading is slower? Just the use of vocabulary. You are the person who can unlock a lot of those things. That was one of the best things with starting out every meeting with, talk to me about what you're seeing at home. Don't be afraid to share that. You are a contributing part to the creation of the student reading plan, and you are a part, you will be invited to that. If you are not able to come, it's not required. The student reading plan doesn't stop. But if you can be there to understand what this looks like and how your child will be monitored, I would encourage you to do so. Your schools will reach out about that, your reading specialist, your teacher, those will be the members at the table who will talk to you about what this means. It is low pressure. There's not anything scary about the meeting at all. It really is just to explain to you, how are we going to target all of the areas of need that your child has. Again, those meetings would be for students who have or who fall in the high risk band, needing that student reading plan. But at any time, if you have questions about the VALLSS information that you get home, even if your child is in low risk, you can still reach out to your child's teacher and ask for further information and further clarity. That student reading plan is guaranteed under the state for our students in high risk, but that's not to say that you can't have a meeting about your students' reading ability. So I want to make sure that you understand you're a big part of this and you want to be able to be in school, ask those questions, just learn more. It's different than many of us learned how to read. So we want to be able to be a partner in this. So please go to your schools, ask those questions. All right. So these are just some helpful hints of things that you can do now. I am trying to move. There we go. So I know this seems crazy, talk, because I'm sure some of you are like, and we're in the car and they never stop talking, but be very strategic in some of the things that you're asking. So ask your child questions about their experiences, interests in books, their level of vocabulary, their level of conversation. These are great things to start on and just build with. You want to talk to them as much as they're talking to you. Use language to describe and explain shared activities. Try some different words. If you're really thinking about they say their everyday activities like shopping, like this is so laborious that we're going shopping. Talk through that word, expose them, not just, oh, you don't, making it, oh, they wouldn't know that word. And I'm just going to say this is a busy day. Try some really great vocabulary with them, expose them. This is the first time their language that they're hearing that first, and that's what they're building on. So you want to make sure that they're making those connections so they can always say, I remember that word. And now I know where that came from. I grew up in a multi-generational house. My grandma said the parlor all the time. As soon as I saw it in a book that was probably dated from the early 1900s, I knew what that meant because I had the association to what a parlor was. Expose them to that vocabulary. It's the best thing that you can do. For our second one here in the middle, pay attention to print. Help your child notice letters and words all around them. We do this so often when they're very little. Continue to do it. Point out words, looking at a stop sign. What sounds do you hear in that word? Just don't be afraid that you're going to do it wrong. Just having those conversations and paying attention to print. Connect written language to children's interests and activities, reading and writing for recipes, video game instructions. You'll get them no problem at all. You'd be shocked at how many things that they can comprehend through getting through a game and navigating. Think about all the steps that they already know in order to get to things on their iPad or any kind of device. Build on that. Learning song lyrics, texting grandparents, or birthday wish list. Birthday wish list would be a great one. Thinking through that. Did you add enough detail there? Will your grandparents know what you want? Thinking about the song lyrics. There's so many things that you can do with song lyrics. If you say, do you really know what that means? Be careful about that, but B, do you really understand what all of those things mean? Really speak to them and dive in a little bit deeper. Don't be afraid, just expose them, expose them, expose them. And then make room for reading. Local library, visit often, read to your children and with your children. Don't feel that you have to stop at a certain level reading to your children. You are their best you're their best teacher of fluent reading when you're reading to them. We read aloud in class all the time. They're hearing somebody speak correctly and read with the same tone and intonation. That's what you want to do as well. Read with that excitement. Think about how you read Where the Wild Things Are for the first time to your kids and the things that you wanted to say when the wild rumpus started. You wanted to get excited. You wanted them to live that. Don't stop that just because they're out of first grade. Keep going, having those moments. And then limit screen time to make room for reading. I know that's a huge ask, but I'm putting it up there. But it is something that we know, like if you're having those conversations and really filling up with a lot of these authentic opportunities, lessening the screen time, not a bad thing. All right, so where can I find out more? So school literacy night, every school under the Virginia Literacy Act is required to have a school literacy night. Many of you are probably thinking, I've already had one at my school. They've always had one. That will continue, but every school in the division will be guaranteed to have a school literacy night. Prince William County VLA webpage, which I'll show you towards just in a few minutes. Virginia Department of Education VDOE website, and I have linked that on the VLA webpage for you, because it goes directly to all of the things that they're doing. There's a ton of information about the process. It's very interesting, and it does give you some reassurance that there are people who are looking through all these things. It's not just, oh, this book looked good, and this is what's in my child's classroom. There's detailed information, there's rubrics about everything, and there's also information on how they are going through the approval process now for grades 6 through 8 for any of you who have middle school children. The Virginia Literacy Partnership, the VLP website, has a ton of resources. That is where the brochure that I will speak to you about as well came from. And you'll be able to see, they have even just some suggestions for what to do at home, games to play, all sorts of things. And then your child's teacher. I should have put that first. That is probably your first line to give me more information. What else can I do at home? All of those things. So reach out and ask them like, hey, I found out some things. What can I do? Hopefully at back to school night, and maybe you'll be the star student at back to school night, because a lot of this information, you'll be like, oh, I already heard that. But ask for those things. How can I provide this support at home? Can you give me any of those things? All right, so we are going to, I'm going to, I'm trying, sorry. I'm going to navigate to the web page. I just need, Yannette, can you see where I am?
Yes, you're on the web page.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the initial page for Prince William County's website. And you can see right under families, I'm going to hover over, and you see all of our sections here. Under academics, at the bottom, you'll see Virginia Literacy Act. So again, you go to families, academics, Virginia Literacy Act. It'll stay open for you. You don't have to keep hovering. Once you click on Virginia Literacy Act, and I'm going to give it a second just to catch up to you. You can see this adorable picture at the top. And I'm going to scroll just really slowly so you can see some things that we've added. Many of you may have already seen in the scoop that came out probably the second week of school. There was a teaser video where it explained what the Virginia Literacy Act was. excuse me, you can go and watch that video again. There's information there if you needed a reminder about some of the things that would be coming this year. There's some real basic information that I've really referenced in the beginning about what the Virginia Literacy Act is, and you can find that right there. And then you'll see some overview here. What we've done is we've gone through and what you can expect for all groups. So there's pretty much every single stakeholder in the school division is included in the Virginia Literacy Act. And what I tried to do was separate this out so you could see what that looks like for all of you. So you can see this general statement, and you will see all of these statements referenced again and again for the Virginia Literacy Act on anywhere that you can see this on the state website, etc. So every student in kindergarten grade 8 will receive core literacy instruction, but underneath I've spelled out for you so that you can see what Prince William County has done in order to be in compliance with this part of the Virginia Literacy Act. You can go here and click on HMH Online and Newsella Online. I will tell you, to see the actual resources, you most likely would have to go onto your go through your child's Canvas if something was assigned. You're going to get general information from here. And Clever is how they're getting into all Newsella, etc. But your children know how to do that. They can walk you through. But it's always nice to have a buzzword. So you can say, show me this article you're using for article of the week. And they can't say, I don't know what you're talking about. So you have a little bit of a buzzword here. Also Core 5, Lexio, you've seen that. If you go through, you can see all the things that we already have for families. There are some family resources here. I don't want to click off right yet, but these are resources from the state and then from the VLP, the Virginia Literacy Partnership that I spoke about. And then again, letting you know, you are a required member of the student reading plan. We want you there. You need to have that input about your child. So we go through what are teachers doing. You'll see right here that they're giving the updated screener, but they're also going through some extensive professional development. That is there. Our reading specialist, you can see the information about our reading specialist there. And then for the division overall and the requirements under that and how Prince William County is in compliance with those as well. If you go up on the side here, you can see some additional family literacy resources. We'll continue to build out from here family resources as we get them, but I will let you know that all of these clicks go to a page that has a ton of resources for you to look through, including the language and literacy screener brochure that I showed you, and I'll show you that in just a second. There's a video here about science-based reading research. This was posted last year. It is a great detailed piece of information. You'll see some repeated things because I have some of those in my slide. It was something that I showed at my primary school or my previous school, just to give everybody an understanding of what this is. Great video to go back and learn. Please take the time to go and look at that. It's long, you can kind of click through it, but it does give you a glimpse into some of that research. We have frequently asked questions, which of course we will be building on more and more and more. At the bottom, under frequently asked questions, these are all of those brochures in our languages. Our Spanish is not posted here. It is on, but I will make sure that that is there because we do have that available from the state as well. I'm noticing that's not listed there. But this is that brochure, and I'm going to click here really quickly. This is what the full brochure looks like. So it's really detailed. It's giving you all of that information about intervention, and then you will see some of the things that I already showed you. So that is that brochure if you click on that. Okay, the literacy plan per the state of Virginia, per the Virginia Literacy Act, every division needs to post their division literacy plan. Ours is posted here. You can see the print version here, but it has been broken down all throughout. All of these pieces are elements of the Virginia Literacy Plan. This will just walk you through some of the things that we have said that we are going to do this year in order to be in compliance. There will be edits to this mid-year. There are some additional things that are coming out. So if we have any edits, we would put it in mid-year. And I foresee us having additional information that would need to be here once we look at what this looks like for the middle school years as well. So a lot of detailed information here, but you can see, there we are, family engagement series, check. We're go ahead and do that. Literacy nights, back to school night, all of those things, public facing webpage. So this is just showing you all of the things that we've explained, but in greater detail. So our literacy plan is there. Again, if you need the print version, it's here. If you need it all spelled out, it's here. For another requirement is that every school have a reading specialist. You can see reading specialist job description, just in case you were wondering what is the specialty to this position. And you can find the contact information for your child's reading specialist in their school on their school website. If you cannot find it and you're having a hard time locating it, just reach out to your teacher, your school, your parent liaison, front office, and they'll be able to let you know who the reading specialist is as well. And then finally, because the screener is so important and such a massive undertaking this year, you can see here that we have, and there's the Spanish version. The Virginia language and literacy screening system information is all here as well. Again, as we get more information, we will continue to build onto this website. And if you have suggestions, those are great to share as well. This would be a great resource that I think would be great to be on here. You can contact me as well and share that information. So I am going to stop sharing. And just again, I don't know how my contact information is shared. I don't know if you send that in the follow-up information, but I should have had that on that last slide.
No worries. I will make sure that it's sent.
Okay, great. You can always contact me or my counterpart, Carla Drew, for any information or questions that you have. I know we had some questions in the chat. I know I threw a ton of information. You will get a copy of the slides and a copy of the video. I would ask that you explore the webpage. It just went live this week. So you're probably a large bulk of parents who have access to it and know where it is right now. So I would encourage you to look through. But again, if you have feedback, please feel free to share and we can see what we can do.
Definitely. We had some really nice comments in the chat as well as some questions. So I'm just going to go over those with you and then you can go from there. Okay. So one person said, I wish there was intuitive programs within the schools tailored to each grade group that helps students through games and other reading methods, learn about the 5 key areas and also understand how reading is fun. And then she just said, I love reading and always reiterate to my daughter how the book only comes alive depending on how you read it.
Oh, that's a great statement.
When you read a book and use your imagination at the same time, the story becomes and means so much more. So that was one of the comments that I thought was a really nice one there.
Yeah.
One of the questions that come up, and I think you touched up a little bit on this one, is there a window of time for each band? And then they put, I'm wondering when I should look out for this information.
Okay, that's a great question. So students who have been tested in grades 1 through 3, you should look towards the end of the month, getting that family letter. Again, that'll be in all of our translated languages as well. And then that score report. Your schools will send all of that out. Kindergarten would be later. Their testing window is later. It'll be into October. So just in a couple weeks, you should be able to get that information once PALS is completed. Once they are finished, you will get, and you'll know where they are for the band. And then if they are in high risk, within just a few, it could be very quickly thereafter, you will get information about a student reading plan meeting. As far as the length of time, I think I'm understanding the question correctly. If I'm not, we can follow up in a different way. But if they're high risk and identified in the fall and in the mid-year, so January-ish, if they grow in that and they're not high risk, they still keep that plan for the remainder of the year because we want to make sure that we're addressing all those needs because they came up as high risk in the fall. So they'll be tested and monitored throughout the year, but that plan will be for the school year. In addition, if they're tested in the fall and they're moderate or low, and then in the mid-year they come up as high, they'll be guaranteed a plan at that time, and that will go as well for the remainder of the year. So the band itself may change the identification, but what they're guaranteed will be for that year if they're given the student reading plan.
Thank you. We have another one. It says, in terms of repetition at home after school, how do we align kids practice the same topic in any PDF or any single link resource?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Lexia has some great resources at home. The great thing about Lexia is that there are things that students are doing as they're on the computer program, but also in the classroom that is really adapting to their skills and needs. That's something. UFly has resources at home. But to speak to that comprehension piece, the great thing about Newsela, and it is a newer program that we're learning more about, and your schools may have a great way to share those resources. Our HMH units are very overarching, not thematic in the way that you would think, oh, we're going to learn about bears, but really overarching questions. So like I mentioned, like character, what is a character? Citizenship might be one, I think, for second grade. All of the articles that would be what they're geared towards in Newsela would be also about that topic. But you can even ask your child, like, what are you learning about? Talk to me about, what's the module question or theme, and then really you could look for some information based on that. So if we're looking at third grade for fiction and they're talking about characters, just really rich fiction, I would ask your classroom teacher as well, what are you learning about? What can I use that would help supplement this? And they may have a better way to share some of those Newsela resources with you as well. That would be something that I would say that would probably be a great resource to use at home.
The next question is, does it benefit them to do all those conversations or learning new words in their primary language if it's not English?
Yes, 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 yes. Do both languages, do all the languages. Do not feel that having that conversation has to be only in, yes, as we encourage your children to speak in all of their languages and have those conversations in both. And a lot of times you can tell. That's a great point. And I'm glad somebody brought that up, because in a lot of ways you can tell in their first language, wait a second, we're not expanding on this sentence that you're doing enough. And you'll really, that's their conversational language. Yes, encourage them in both languages, have those conversations. You're exposing them to background knowledge no matter what. So yes, I want to encourage that. And what a wonderful, wonderful gift to be able to speak more than one language. So you want to continue and encourage that.
I think this next question is more of a follow-up to, what if parents are not native speakers and can't read as it should be read?
So there are a ton of resources. So I had a parent last year that we looked at, there's a lot of sounds, and I say that as I have a Northeast accent that I can't even say correctly, and you have to see the videos, and you need to see how to do your mouth in a certain way. There are great resources for that on YouTube. But again, if you reach out to your school, your classroom teacher, they can help you with a lot of those things. If you reached out to me and through Miss Boyd, we can absolutely get some resources as well, just so that you feel more confident in those sounds. And that's very much, I understand that in K1, when you're trying to practice with them a certain sound and it's different than the way you would make it. So, and there's no better judge than your own child to tell you that you're saying it wrong or you're making the sound wrong. So there's a ton of resources out there, but we can absolutely we can compile some things as well.
All right, the next question, is there a free online website where I can get books or resources?
A free online website. I don't know what a free online website. I'll have to look to see what would be a free, I mean, obviously the library itself, but online itself. I can look to see what some free online would be. I'm probably not thinking of something that's pretty simple, but I can look to see and provide those resources.
I'll definitely, when I do the follow-up email, I will also provide the link to the library.
Yes.
Yep. Let's see. How does having the screener in 5th grade this year, screening in 2025, transition to 6th grade?
So the screener is only K3 this year. Next year, it will be for 4-8. The state is creating it for them. And then you will translate, but that's a great, so the receiving year will receive those scores and look at targeted instruction as well. So just like we pass on SOL scores or any data about your child, that would follow with them. But for next year, school year 2025, I apologize, will be 4-8 would be screened. K3 is the only one that has the updated screener for this year.
All right, I think those are all our questions. I really want to take this time to say a special thank you to Marissa for joining us today. I will be sending a follow-up email with today's presentation. Also, a couple of resources along with the links to the webpage and PWCS website. And so you'll have all that information, and the video recording will be posted to our past events websites once it's available for viewing, for on-demand viewing. And so at this time, we have placed the survey for the presentation on the website. In the chat. So we would like for you to please take the time to fill it out and let us know what you think of this presentation and how we're doing. And please know that we value and appreciate your feedback. And so thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you.